Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on H.R. 5120, the bill now under consideration.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
H.R. 5120, the Department of Energy Modernization and Technology Transfer Act, ensures that the Department of Energy has the tools it needs to allow new startups, small businesses, universities, and the general public at large to do what they do best: react to market signals and innovate. The federal government and the national labs fill a vital role doing the basic research needed to maintain America's role as an innovative nation. Far too often, however, the discoveries made in our labs get stuck in our labs. This is due to a number of reasons, and this bill seeks to break down many of those purely bureaucratic barriers. By extending the pilot for ACT agreements within DOE, the labs are given the ability to negotiate more flexible contracts with non-federal entities that would like to take the lab's research and turn it into a viable product. This legislation would also grant to the directors of the national labs the signature authority for many agreements with non-federal entities. Currently, the Secretary of Energy must make these decisions. So decisions a lab director can make over a phone call in the course of a day must weave their way through unnecessary bureaucracy before they land on the Secretary's desk. This bill would streamline that process. H.R. 5120 also seeks to improve the Department's relationship with small businesses that can take part in the SBIR-STTR program, and it encourages the Secretary to enter into agreements with the I-Corps program at the National Science Foundation. Our national labs have been at the cutting edge of technological development, and we must always ensure that development is in the national interest. A discovery lost in the labs is a discovery wasted. That's why I'd like to thank my good friend, Mr. Kilmer, for partnering with me in this effort, as well as Mr. Fatah and Mr. Nunley, who were founding members with me in creating the House Science and National Labs Caucus. Chairman Smith and Chairman Lummis, as well as ranking members Johnson and Swalwell, were also key in this legislation coming together and bringing it to the floor. This is a true bipartisan, bicameral effort, as Senator Coons and Rubio have a similar companion bill on the other side of the Hill. I encourage my colleagues to support this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to support H.R. 5120, the Department of Energy Laboratory Modernization and Technology Transfer Act of 2014. In the report Rising Above the Gathering Storm, Paul Otellini, the former CEO of Intel, challenged Congress and challenged the nation to step up to the innovation challenge to grow our economy. Without a change in U.S. government policy, he wrote, "The next big thing will not be invented here, jobs will not be created here, and wealth will not accrue here." I'd like to thank Mr. Hultgren and my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for working together to produce a bipartisan bill targeted at stepping up to that challenge. Our national labs are currently doing innovative research that can hit roadblocks on the path to commercialization, on the path to helping small business run with those innovations. So this bill provides important tools to spur and accelerate the transfer of new technologies developed at our national laboratories and help transfer those to the private sector. It significantly broadens the range of companies that can participate in a new pilot program with our federal labs and allows more flexible partnerships partnership agreement terms between the public and private sectors. The bill also allows labs to use their technology transfer funds for activities that identify and demonstrate potential commercial opportunities for their research and technologies. These partnerships between our national labs and the business community will help eliminate gaps in funding by facilitating a path for innovative ideas from basic research to have commercial application. Let me tell you why this matters to me. The region I represent is home to the Pacific Northwest National Lab Facility, and I've seen firsthand the innovative research being done there. I've also worked closely with our premier research universities to find ways to enable exciting new partnership opportunities. So going beyond just the labs, this bill removes burdens that currently prevent many universities and other nonprofit research institutions from working with the Department of Energy. This bill streamlines management and coordination of DOE's full spectrum of energy activities, from basic research through commercial application, by establishing a single Undersecretary for Science and Energy. And the bill authorizes DOE to partner with the National Science Foundation so that its researchers can participate in NSF's groundbreaking Innovation Corps program, which matches grant recipients with entrepreneurs to help get their ideas out of the lab and into the marketplace. Lastly, the bill includes important reporting and accountability measures so that we'll be able to evaluate the effectiveness of each of these new tools and determine any additional steps that we should be taking down the road. DOE's national laboratories have been the birthplace of some of our most revolutionary technologies. When this research is harnessed by entrepreneurs and business leaders, startups with only 1 or 2 employees can grow into companies that can create hundreds of quality jobs. We want to make sure that our national labs, our universities, and all institutions and initiatives remain an important foundation of our knowledge-based economy. And that's why I was proud to co-sponsor this bipartisan legislation to give scientists and researchers in both the public and private sector the tools and the freedom that they need to unlock a new wave of great discoveries. I'd like to close by noting that this is the kind of bipartisan cooperative work Congress needs to do if we're going to bolster our global competitiveness. Countries around the world are working to recruit and develop the next generation of innovators. If we're going to have any chance of keeping up, we absolutely have to make research and development a top priority. I am hopeful that we can renew the bipartisan spirit and commitment to making sure tomorrow's cutting-edge technology is developed here, not someplace else. Thank you again, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Washington reserves. Gentleman from Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our national labs like Fermilab and Argonne have been a primary driver of American innovation since the Manhattan Project, but many of their most important discoveries have been made in the past decade. Research produced there has enormous economic potential, but many times their discoveries remain stuck in the labs. It's essential that we update Cold War-era policies, acknowledge the rapid pace of technological change, and improve the lab's capacity to partner with private enterprise and convert their cutting-edge research into marketplace innovation. This bill does that. So grateful again for co-sponsors, especially Mr. Kilmer and his work on this. And I have no further speakers on this bill, and I'm prepared to yield back if my colleague is prepared to yield back as well.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Washington.
Thank you. I'd just once again like to thank Mr. Hultgren and our chairman, Mr. Smith, and ranking member, Ms. Johnson. And I have no further speakers, and so I'm happy to yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Illinois.
Mr. Speaker, I have no further requests for time either, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back.